Hello guys and welcome. Just make sure there's no reverb going on. Should be all good, so I hope you guys are doing all good today. This is a bit of a spontaneous stream I'm going to be doing today. So there was a tournament last night hosted by Zachbsain himself, who is the current champion actually of my own tournament, Death Before Dishonor. And it was about 1:30 last night, super tired, but he popped up a message saying that he's running a flash tournament. I thought I'd hop in. And he's very kindly given me all the replays, so I can actually, stream it. And I was going to post up a video. I thought I might as well stream it because it's going to be one big fat video anyway. So if there is anyone out there chilling who wanted to kind of just come in and have a little discussion about the battles with me as we run through them, I thought that'd be pretty good fun. So I'll just give it a few minutes and let a few people come in. But taking part in this tournament, it is a 4-man tournament, best of 3 rounds. And it's in myself. This is my first ever tournament, so that's super exciting. Zachbsain, of course, who's hosting it. Hit by a Tree and Salted Katana, who probably have the best 2 names in the tournament, and they're going to be in round 2. So let's just hop in, and we're paused about while a few people hop in. So let's go quickly. So none of this is live. Well, of course, I am currently live streaming this, but the actual battles happened last night. It was a bit different from how we normally run our tournaments over on this channel, but it should be exciting and probably make things a little bit quicker, actually. So as you can see, I'm going to be in control of the Lizardmen, led by a mighty fat boy Slan, up against the Dark Elves. Should be interesting on Iron Mountain Pass. So just pause this quickly, give it a few minutes just to let people pop in. But let me know if you guys have any favourites in this. So just to recap for anyone who just missed the opening, it is myself, Zachbsain, Salted Katana, and Hit by a Tree. Just a small 4-man flash tournament, best of 3, normal Warhammer Cup rules, which basically just stops kind of mass kiting or spamming specific units like breath attacks and so forth. Yeah, it looks like we've got a few people in here. 6 people watching. That's quite nice, considering it is still middle of the workday, or getting towards the end of it here in Britain, but I'm not expecting too many people compared to what we normally get, but still, it should be exciting. So let's just go over my army now and get this underway. So I've gone for a Mass Saurus build. I don't really play Dark Elves, so I'm a little bit stumped normally on how to defeat them, because I'm not overly good with them, so I'm not sure, where their key strengths and weaknesses are. But a fairly solid tactic with Lizardmen tends to go quite wide with Saurus. So on the left flank, we do have some Saurus spears here, who are all pimped up triple gold chevron. And across the front line, we just have Saurus warriors with shields. These guys can easily munch their way through dread spears, bleak swords, and so forth. And with a little bit of help from a fat boy over here, they can even munch through more elite troops. So in the back, we have the Legion of Shakwa, regiment around Saurus warriors, who have this awesome little ability right here called the Shield of Shakwa, giving 44% missile resistance to those around them. So they're going to be sitting as bodyguards for the Slan, as I know Dark Elves can bring a lot of missile fire. Then at the very back, we have the Umbral Tide. I love these guys. They're super cool. They stalk, they're anti-large, and they can really kind of pin down that light cavalry that the Dark Elves like using, like the Dark Riders, as we can see at the summer over here. So we have gone for the Slan. I think he's a pretty competitive choice if you can keep him protected. Of course, he is a bit of a slow-moving guy. And he's bought all sorts of equipment. He has a Banishment, Shield of the Old Ones, Aura of Quetzal, Blood Statue of Spite. Also bought the Time Warp, which is super good, working with the Saurus, turn them into absolute lawnmowers. Another Banishment, and the Net of Amantok, which should be pretty useful. And over, hidden in the trees at the moment, we have 2 units of Horned Ones. Now, these guys aren't used as often as I was like. They're super elite, but they're just very expensive, and the Rampage can be a pain. But since that's been changed, they're actually fairly competitive. Let's have a little look at my opponent, Zachbsain's list right here. So the front line, he's gone very cheap and cheerful, with just a mixture of Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. They're going to struggle up against the Saurus, but they will work as a nice buffer. Then the back, he has a couple of the Dread Spears in reserve by the looks of it, just to help protect. And he's gone for Dark Shards, who I haven't actually seen too much. I normally see Shades in this matchup, but he's gone for the Dark Shards, including the Bolt Fiends, the Regiment Renowned version, and he has 4 units of those overall, so that's a ton of armor-piercing damage there. And at the very back, he does have a Reaper Bolt Throw, which is going to be forcing me in up on top of this hill, which isn't where I really want to be fighting. And in the back, he has Cold One Knights and some more Dark Riders. So overall, very nice build. Over on the flank, here's a little flanking force of Dark Riders mixed in with the ones with the repeater crossbows. So that's a nice little skirmish force. And in the back, a couple of units, or possibly just one. No, it is 2 units of Cold One Knights. And for his leadership, he has gone for Supreme Sorceress of Death, who's going to be a real pain in the butt. Dropping her Black Horror here, which is quite nice. I haven't actually seen that used yet, so we'll try and spy out in the battle. Come in with the Opal Amulet, which is very nice, and of course, Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, which is the very competitive pick. So let's get this underway. So immediately, I am having to rush forward. Obviously, my opponent does have the advantage of range here. So I'm just going to be trying to close the gap as quick as possible and just munch through this front line. I need to get on top of these Dark Shards and shut them down. So the Horn Ones are going for a little flank over here, but I can see that Zach's responding by bringing over his Dark Riders and also the Supreme Sorcerer. I'm assuming he's going to be starting to drop some Spirit Leeches on my guys. So I'm just trying to back them up and force her out of position a little bit and use this opportunity to kind of tank down this front line while his leadership is distracted. Salamanders are getting a little overzealous. I forgot to put them onto guard mode, and they were trying to chase down some of these Dark Riders. They are going to have to retreat now rather quickly. You can see a first wave coming in on volleys, and they just start tanking their health so quickly. So big misplay by me. They're getting these guys a little bit overzealous and into the front line. Luckily, they haven't lost too many models, though, so their damage output should still be pretty decent. Now on the left we can see it looks like its Spirit Leech did go down on these Horn Ones, or maybe even a Fate of Buna, and they've taken a ton of damage there, but they should be coming back into the fray pretty soon. So our front line is about to engage, and the Slan's getting a little bit danger close to these Dark Shards, but in return he's popping down the shield of the old ones, popping down a Time Warp and an Aura of Quetzal here, so really trying to tank this front bit of the line, force my way through, and hop on top of these Dark Shards, which should be pretty good. However, he's taken a ridiculous amount of damage, so in return he has dropped down a banishment spell here, trying to get some of these Dark Shards offline and tearing up these Spearmen here. So a very nice cast by him. However, he has just taken far too much damage. And these Horn One Knights are being really well dealt with by my opponent. He's charging them with these Dark Riders, getting Dread Spears in there to stop them from making too much of an impact. So I haven't been able to break into this backline fast enough. Finally, we do start to push through, and we're going to be hopping on top of these Dark Shards, which is going to be very good, but it's a little bit too little too late, and the Slan is going to go down, unfortunately, which is a massive loss. Luckily, Lizardmen have fantastic leadership overall, so they should be able to stay in the fight for a little bit longer at least. And we are doing rather well now in the front line. We've broken into this back line. Looks like we're going to break this Reaper Bolt Thrower. We've managed to break some of the Bolt Fiends as well, who've just rallied, and we're really getting onto those squishy targets we needed to get onto a little bit quicker here. A very quick, fast and furious game here, obviously with the old Saurus Rush. Let's try and get a little few close-ups here as well. We have got these bleak swords surrounded. It's always nice to see some Saurus Warriors. It's absolutely swords. So unfortunately now, this looks like Samus has come back and firing, but unfortunately with our cavalry gone, there's now free reign for these Dark Riders who are just going to be swooping around and landing on top of this Umbral Tide, who unfortunately really have not paid for themselves. They've got 0 kills so far. They're trying to rain fire down on these Cold One Knights, but they're being dealt with very expertly there by Zach. So right flank, we should be able to grind this engagement out pretty successfully, and in the back we did manage to get onto the targets we wanted to, but he's just going to pull them back now, pull these Dark Shards in different directions so they can crossfire and use the cavalry to slow down the Saurus Warriors, who just do not have the speed to catch up or kind of react to this cav. Without the Horned Ones for protection, or any of the nets from the Slan, these guys are going to all be isolated and slowly dragged down, it looks like, as the power balance has gone really heavily in favour of the Dark Elves there. Looks like we do have some Horned Ones who have rallied, but there's only 9, they're not going to affect the battle too much. And over here, these Saurus Spearmen, they've got 102 kills, they've been doing bits, they've also been managing to drag down some of these Cold One Knights rather successfully. However, they are isolated, and as you can see, the battle line is kind of dotted all over the place, and the cav really runs shop now with nothing to stop them. They can just float around, pick their targets, and let these Dark Shards turn around and fire in. So that is going to be game 1 to my opponent there. Super fun game, pretty damn tough though. I really like the play of kind of forcing me up the hill, obviously with the Bolt Thrower, and those Dark Shards just tore. I did not realise how much damage they do. I haven't seen them in use too much, and they just took that Slan to absolute pieces. So let's go into round 2. So this one is going to be me in control of the High Elves up against Zach's Dwarf Army. So this is normally a battle that I really rate the High Elves in. I think they have a big advantage, and it's going to be on Alpine Ridge. Just going to check chat quickly, just see if we have any questions. Hey, looks like we do. Yo, stream's at 480p. That is not good. Try refreshing your page and seeing what it's like now. If it doesn't work, I will try refreshing the stream on this end. It looks all good on my end, so just let me know, Vic, if it's how it's looking down on yours. and I will get it sorted, but let's get this underway. So, just a heads up before the battle actually starts, there was an innocent mistake here by my opponent. His build is actually not tournament legal, but neither of us knew it at the time, and it's completely fine. It's a super fun build, and it's going to be tournament legal soon, so I really don't see it being a problem. But just if anyone who's watching knows the Warhammer rules and had any questions about it, it was just a mistake, which is fine. So for our front line, we have gone for the White Lines of Chase, which are a fantastic choice against the Dowie. Armor piercing, they have a little bit of missile resistance, they're not overly expensive, and they can beat down pretty much any of the Dowie infantry except, the elite of the elite. With their armor piercing, overall just a super effective unit. We do have 2 units of the Swordmasters of Hoeth, much more elite, and they're there to take down the Iron Breakers or the Hammers, or just give that added punch and really break through that front line. Now in the back, we do have 2 Eagle Claw bolt throwers who can really effectively outtrade Dowie artillery. You take the single shot, and they're just so much more accurate that cannons and so forth just can't compete with these guys. So I've got 2 here, really trying to force my opponent to come down this hill and face me, where I can then just meet him on the open ground with these White Lions. Now we have gone for a Mage of Shadows here, who does in fact only have 2 spells, gone a little bit cheap and cheerful. Just has Enfeebling Foe, which is of course great against the Dowie, and also the Pendulum, which is quite nice if he lines up for me. So that is my army for the most part. But over hidden in the trees, we do have some Illyrian Reavers, and we have 3 of those units. So we also have 2 hidden right over in the back there. They're just super light infantry, there for chasing down Mountain units and trying to get into that back line. And hopefully, I was hoping he'd brought loads of cannons and whatnot. And as his army is forced forward by the bolt throwers, these guys can just swoop around. And for our leadership, we have gone, of course, for the Shadowkin, Alephanar. Armor-piercing missiles can pick off Rune Lords and Rune Smiths very easily from long range. Has his Moonbow, which isn't going to be too much damage here, so probably not the best take against the Dwarves there. But it's also got Mislead and Slippery and all that good stuff. And for my opponent, so he's gone for a very bizarre build here. So in the woods, he does have some rangers here who are unfortunately going to be right next to these Illyrian Reavers, so they're not going to be having a good day. But he's gone for an all-ranger build pretty much, which is kind of crazy. So he has Bugman Rangers mixed in with Rangers, and Rangers with great weapons just dotted around here in a giant vanguard on top of this hill. He also, of course, has the Regiment Renowned version, have this really nifty ability here called Marked by Ulfa, which, as you can see there, minus 24 missile parry, 22% minus missile resistance, minus 30 armor, which is super good. So you put that down on any kind of elite or heavily armored unit, and all of a sudden these bowmen can tear it apart. So he has how many units overall? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, one over there, 13, and let's see what these guys are. Yeah, 14, 15 ranged units, which is just absolutely mental. And of course, it's gone for a very thin front line of just miners with blasting charges, including though the Ekrund miners, who are the Regiment Renowned version, who I believe have just a crazy amount more blasting charges, also a little bit better stats. And for his leadership, he has gone very far in the back here with a Rune Lord, who has got literally just the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So very interesting build. Let's see how it plays out. So of course we are going to notice these Rangers on the left-hand flank, and they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. They're going to be sandwiched here, right here between the White Lions and also some Illyrian Reavers. And these Dowie are definitely in the wrong neighbourhood. Just always run this risk, obviously. And we're going to pinch them there and just send the Dwarves flying, and instantly that's 3 gold for me. Those guys did pretty much nothing, which is obviously fantastic. At this point, I'm still trying to take in my opponent's army. Of course, I cannot see a ton of it. A lot of it is in stalk, like the Ulfar Raiders here. So a lot of the Rangers have stalk, and of course this hill is blocking line of sight as well. So we're just going to be flinging in some shots with the bolt thrower now. Alephanar was struggling to get line of sight on the Runes Lord, unfortunately. So he has had to push forward a little bit, but the first shot coming in, as you see, it chunks down the damage, and over the course of a battle, he can really tear one of those apart. Opponent is responding though, but just by pushing up the Bugman Rangers there. Or Bugman, sorry. Is it Bugman or Bugman? I believe it's Bugman. Bugman Rangers. And we're just using the scatter shot here. I'm not convinced this is the best option, as maybe just killing models instantly with a single shot would have been better, but there's not too many elite targets to really pick out. So Alephanar is just struggling at the moment with line of sight, and my opponent very cleverly bring the Rune Lord up and over top of the hill, forcing him to try and move forward. So I'm going to be pulling him back and trying to wrap him back round. the mage is just pushing forward, trying to spy out what's actually here and trying to break out some of these blasting charges. But unfortunately, it looks like they're not on fire at will, so they're not going to be thrown. I'm just trying to send her forwards and lure out those blasting charges as quick as possible. Does have Mark also come down, but it's going to be retreating, trying to get out of range of all those missiles, and for the most part manages to dodge them all quite nicely. And the pendulum is coming down on top of the the overcast version, but doing a little bit of work. As you can see, the Illyrian Reavers have started to stalk into the back lines here. Now we have a decoy Alphanar popping up here just to hold these Buckman Rangers, and we do come charging the Illyrian Reavers. A Master of Rune of Wrath and Ruin has been called to them, so they can't do their cycle charging as they had hoped. They do almost take this unit offline, but do get forced off themselves. And in the back, we do have a couple of Illyrian Reavers come crashing in. So these Buckman Rangers in the back. This other unit is going to be trying to hit more of the flank, because there's less of this crossfire. At this point, I probably should have been moving up my front line and actually timed it, so the Illyrian Reavers came smacking in as the front line engaged, so there was nothing to actually protect the back line. But I was trying to get these guys offline. I couldn't quite see how many Rangers there were at this point, so I was trying to charge in and take them offline. I knew there must be some more invisible units dotted around. Well, where is the other units? Okay, so we have two units there pushing around the flank here, being super sneaky dwarves and going for the long game here. Like, I'm trying to sneak all the way around this flank here to try and pop on top of these Eagle Claw buffers. Another pendulum coming down the front line on these miners, just trying to soften them up for when I do come crashing in, as I want to break through this front line as fast as possible and just hop on top of these range units. You see, the Boltboys have been doing decent work. They've switched their targets to the Buckman Rangers whenever they can see them, just trying to tear those guys down, as they're of course the real threat. These miners are absolute nothing when it comes down to it. Their blasting charges will be a pain, but apart from that, they'll be carved up rather quickly. So Alphanar here, just chilling, still firing his shots over there, and he is still just trying to butter up that Rune Lord. So he's keeps moving away from these miners every time they approach, and firing, and he's slowly dragging them down quite as far as the side of the west. The front line has engaged, and of course you see the miners instantly buckle. These white lines, however, do get a little bit more stuck on those blasting charges, but they've now got in and make short work of them. And these white lines have broken through the left flank, immediately starting to charge into the back on top of these Bugmans. Now these white lines are a little bit sneaky and force themselves around the left-hand side here, trying to dodge out these miners and front line and just hop into the back and do some serious damage. As you can see, we've managed to start to break in. However, in the front, there's the mass firepower's actually managed to focus down these Swordmasters and these white lines, and they forced them off and even helped these miners win a frontline engagement, which is of course very rare for dwarf miners. And these white lines here are being knocked off as well, so a little bit of a disaster, but you've got to take your wins where you can get them, charging into the back of these Buckman Rangers, hoping these white lines can rally so we can charge in and really finish them off. Now let's see where the sneaky flank force is got to. So they're firing in now, and they're doing a decent amount of damage to these Eagle Claw bolt throws. They have been firing for a little while, as you can see by their ammo, but slowly they will take these guys offline. They're still firing in their spread shot, trying to take down these Rangers wherever they can. Let's see how many kills there actually are. So only 14 and 15, which isn't a great return at the moment. Probably better to do single substitute kill instantly. I don't think the ultimate kill will do a bit of splash damage. Looks like the did get into the back line, but they're so beat up by this point. This looks like managed to route this entire left pocket here, and the right pocket is run by the dwarves, and in the middle it's still a little bit contested by these white lines. It looks like the Mage of Shadows, who did get into the back line trying to shut down some Rangers, has been crossfired, and the High Elves are just getting picked off as they charge in, unfortunately. Not that, of course, I have a horse in this race, even though I was playing. It was rather late. I wasn't hoping to go too far into the tournament because I really needed my sleep, but I'm still fighting to the last one. It's certainly not over, and I've managed to collapse into this big middle pocket here, and we're hacking through these Rangers as we speak. It's quite nice. This is obviously a perfect matchup for the white lines, so you cut through these guys super quickly. But it's just the crossfire from this huge amount of crossbows. I do not have enough units to shut down all of them in one go, and even when I do manage to break off a pocket, I don't have the units to chase down. Committing my Illyrian Reavers really early on, getting them caught out, has really kind of slowed down my potential to help finish off this late game. Alphanar, however, is still firing in his shots. He's been firing shots at the Rune Lord all game, and it looks like he is about to drag him down. Now, if we can finish him off, we might have a great shout of breaking off this pocket. All these white lines running through, hopping on top of these Bugmans who are starting to run a little bit low on ammo, We should be able to break them off in combat. Want to get this Rune Lord finished off, however, because even if he rallies, the Dowie will stand strong and rally behind their Rune Lord. So Alephanar, who is exhausted from firing all these shots, does look like he managed just about to finish him off. Also, a shot came in from somewhere. As we can see, these Rangers haven't actually been overly effective. They did manage to take off one Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. They've been firing in for absolute ages. It might have been better for them to actually move into combat to fully shut them down. Here we have another little decoy of Alephanar just running up the hill. A good little trick to do with the decoys, turn them into combat mode and hop onto a range unit. And it obviously force them to stop shooting if they're not in guard mode, which is just super useful as they're just basically wasting their potential. So we still have more bolts coming in, trying to get down these residents renowned Rangers. The white lines are fighting through units, but they're just starting to struggle with these mass amount of arrows coming in from all directions, and we've kind of been picked apart by being lured forward here. This Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower seems to be taken down a lot quicker, so these Rangers really up to their game here. They've heard my criticism, and that is a grudging, so they're taking down that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. It looks like this could be game. We just really have Alephanar left, as the rest of the army does start to break. And that is going to be GG, so very well played to my opponent, Zachbsain, whose tournament this is. So thank you also if you do manage to end up seeing this for letting me take part. It was my first tournament, and that is round 1. So we're going to go into the next game in just a second. Just check chat here. Make sure, hopefully, that the stream quality has held up. Oh, hey, Zachary. Okay, man, I'll try and move a little bit closer to my mic. Unfortunately, for some reason, it forces me to do in-game chat. So I'm trying to sort out the microphone at the moment, but I'll move a little bit closer for you. So up next, we do have Salted Katana against Hit by a Tree. Do you guys have any favourites in this matchup? I really think the Skaven have a huge advantage here against the Dowie. They have so many tools now. They have so many tools to take down the Dwarves, and I think it's a matchup that they really struggle with. So for my own tournaments, in the next one coming up, Death Before Dishonor, I will end up having scorecards just in the top left and the top right. But this was a really spur of the moment thing. I hopped in the tournament super late last night and just randomly decided to cast the replays. So it's going to be a little bit hit or miss, but it should be good fun. I hope you guys do enjoy it, and just, let me know what you think of the builds, what you want to see next, and all that kind of good stuff. So let's just go in a little bit of slow-mo, and let's have a little look at the army. So for the Skaven, for the front line, they have just gone for the basic Skaven Slaves, which is of course just mass chaff, good for taking up that firepower. And in the back, Clan Rats, which are equally pretty chaffy, but they hold a little bit longer. Just going for the mass swarm tactic here, which works pretty effectively against the Dwarfs. Now in the back, does have some Plague Monks. It'll be interesting to see how these guys do. They're big damage dealers, but I don't think they have the most armor piercing. Let's have a little look. They do have bonus versus infantry, however. 8 armor piercing. I mean, they'd probably do fairly decent against dwarves. It'd be good to see them in action. A couple of units of Skaven Slave Slingers. And in the very back there, the Teeth Breakers. So Rattling Gun Weapon Team. If these guys can get in there, they can do a ton of damage. But they have to get really danger close, which isn't what you want to do up against the dwarves. And on the flank, it does look like we have the Dwarfin Menace. This used to be crazy good against dwarves. It's still very good. Armor Sundering can work a bit like a chariot, which of course the dwarves struggle with. They don't really have that mass to stop chariots. But these have been nerfed fairly recently, so it'd be interesting to see how they perform. Now over on the left flank, they also have some more Doomflayers over here. These guys should do pretty good, although it looks like they are getting pinged down a little bit, some early cannon fire. Looks like got a little bit of a glance in hit here. Now let's see for the leadership. We do have a Wartblock Engineer, who's a very cool little choice here. He's kind of a mage. Also can fight fairly decent in combat, however. We have a Plague Priest, which can be super useful. Let's see what kit he has brought for him. So he's gone for a Scrying Scroll, Vermintide, and Plague Rust. All that kind of good stuff that comes with him anyway. And for the Lord, he has gone for Queeg Head Taker. Gone for the very thematic pick here. The Scourge of the Dwarfs here. I believe he even has a dwarf head on his back. Yeah, he does, right there. He's going to be trying to add a few more heads to that rack. He's very good pick against the dwarfs, mainly just because he's a fantastic duelist, so he can kill runesmiths and so on very quickly, anti-infantry, armor piercing, all that great stuff. Of course, he has the dwarf gouger, so very thematic. Really big fan of this build right here, and this is Salted Katana's build. Oh, it looks like he's also got some sneaky death runners in the back who could cause a lot of chaos here. Now for the mighty Dowie, we do in fact have Dwarf Warriors in the front line. So we've got 5 Dwarf Warriors in the front line, or 4, sorry. 4 Warriors in the front line, and in the back we do have some Longbeards. These guys, I mean, they do very good against Skaven infantry. There's not much in the Skaven roster which will be able to take these guys down, and even Dwarf Warriors will be able to hold the line for a very long time. In the back, he has gone for freeness of Thunderers. I'm not sure if I would have gone for Quarrelers instead, just because there's an easier arc of fire, and for the most part, Skaven don't have too much armor, but either way, these guys are going to pack an absolute punch. They're going to be guarded on the flanks, it looks like, by 1 unit of miners on one flank, and on the other side, we do have the Dragonback Slayers. These guys, super good. They could be able to take down Dragon Ogres and so forth. They do, in fact, have a slow. They make people flammable. And they have flame resistance themselves. A very cool unit overall. They're almost a must-pick in most dwarf armies. We do have 2 cannons in the back, which are going to do a huge amount of damage if they actually make their hits. Although they would be more useful against the kind of bigger targets. There's another unit of Slayers over on this flank. And 2 miners in the back. Just the regular ones, chevroned up. But unfortunately, no blasting charges. Now, a great little tip quickly with Longbeards is if you chevron them up once, just 1 chevron each, they actually gain more stat bonuses than I think any other unit in the game. So it's almost always worth just, you know, pimping them up a little bit. But against Skaven, maybe not too necessary. So let's get this underway. Some early cannon fire coming into the Doomflayers here, which is obviously going to do some great work. And they're just going to be trying to hide behind this big shot blocker here, but this one little guy is sticking out a bit, so he's still going to be taking some shots to the face. And the Skaven player attacking from a bit of an angle here, and I quite like this. There's no need to actually fight the whole of this dwarf front line. What's the point? I mean, if you could bring these units all the way around here, but instead, dwarfs are very slow. Smack into one side of their formation, and have these guys just stand in there kind of hopelessly being a bit useless. And once you've broken this formation, then you move over to the other flank. So I really like this play of coming in an angle here. Looks like the Teeth Breakers are moving up slowly, and he has full on his Wartblock Engineer, but I'm sure he'll be moving up. It looks like the front line is engaged here. The mass swarms of vermin are now kind of crawl their way over this very brave Dowie shield wall. And there's so many of these guys. Instantly, they've managed to swoop around the back here. They're going to be trying to shut down the fire of the mighty Dowie. He's picking his little gaps here with these Plague Monks, forcing them through, and he's going to be able to get onto his Longbeard super quickly. Looks like the Doomflayers, who have suffered a bit of damage, are going to start rolling through that front line. And look at this could be disastrous for the dwarf. So I don't think he's spotted the Death Runners yet. They are using their concealment bombs to give them stalk and unspotable. And they're going to be running in, and I think they're going to be hopping on top of these Thunderers instead of the cannon, which is probably a good pick at this option. And they're going to be charging him there. Let's see how much damage they do. And for the rest of the front line, it is just swarms of rats rolling over Dowie here. So the Death Runners are coming running in here. And the Thunderers just about half their motion turn in time. But they are going to get torn apart. The Death Runners have found their perfect target here. As you see, these guys, their health is going down super quickly here. And he really needs to, activate these Longbeards and these Dwarf Warriors, at least get them over into this main engagement or fall back and defend the gun line. The gun line is heavily compromised now. We have Dwarf players in the back as well. These Thunderers, they are being countercharged by miners, but miners aren't going to do anything too crazy. And it looks like it's just a massive swarm, to be honest. So we do have Slayers here who are chasing off the Teeth Breakers, which isn't a bad shout. They're quite fast. They should be able to catch them and shut them down, but they are going to be getting picked off by Skaven Slave Slingers. So of course, this is their favourite target. Slayers are unarmoured, and these little pebbles should do a decent amount of damage. The rest of the battle is just the dwarves slowly struggling here, I feel. In the back, Death Runners did manage to hop on and finish off those Thunderers who started to run. And they've also managed to shut down this cannon. They are now a little bit caught up with Dragonback Slayers, but they'll still get some decent kills. They're up to 52 already. This is some great value and really great play actually shutting down that back line. Here a Warp Lightning coming in here. Nice little shot there, doing a decent amount of damage to those Dwarf Warriors, really helping out with clan rats. So the Dowie have rallied a little bit on this flank, but everywhere else they're completely surrounded. And of course, if you're being attacked in the back, that's minus your leadership. You only use half your melee defense, and these guys are just getting slowly dragged down here, which is not good at all. Clan rats in the back shutting down miners, and the Doomflayers are just slowly rolling through everything. 22 kills there. Now, where are the Dwarfin Menace? It'll be interesting to see how many kills those guys have. Can't spot them anywhere at the moment. There's just the normal Doomflayers. Maybe they got taken offline. Would have been great work from the Dowie. Looks like I may have missed that. I don't see them anywhere. Who knows? They could be off anywhere. Power balance, though, is currently in favour of the Dowie. Have they managed to rally? Oh no, and foremost. No, it is the Dowie, yes, of course. Sorry, so seeing the yellow there, I always think, it must be the good guys, because the dwarves, who I very much like play myself, they are actually in the lead at the moment, but their guns have, for the most part, got a sharp line. These Thunderers have rallied, and there is still one cannon. There's still some Death Runners in the back who could come and shut those guys down. So in the back here, we do have some summoned clan rats just hopping on top of these Dragonback Slayers, which is a decent choice. Just poke them down. They're very elite Slayers, but they can take damage from anyone as their downfall. And the Doomflays here do have a Master Runic Wrath and Ruin bot down on them, but this, regardless, should be able to get up the punch quite quickly. So I don't know, who do you think's got this one? It's pretty tight. If the dwarves can just hold and endure, they may be okay, but there's so many rats still just kind of running around snickering. Now getting these surrounds late game can really help break leadership, especially if this Rune Lord goes down. Where is Queek? He's taken an absolute beating by the looks of it over here. He is up to 31 kills, doing a decent job helping secure this flank for Skaven. And it looks like these Slayers are slowly going to get dragged down, so it depends. It depends so heavily. I mean, there's still these Dwarf Warriors just standing out here doing nothing. This has kind of been a problem all game for him, unfortunately, with those 2 units which were unactivated over here originally. And they're just going to be getting charged by some Skaven slaves in the flank now. They are now activated and they're going to be moving into the middle. And they should be able to clear up the Skaven slaves rather quickly, but it's Slither Warthog Engineer, who's no slouch in combat himself with 64 kills. It looks like Queek may thought about moving over here to try and take on the Rune Lord. He has popped trophy hits down there. Yeah, it looks like he is going to be going for it, and he's going to try and snipe up the Dowie Lord, which I think could be really key here. He's managed to pull the power of balance back into the middle there, maybe even slightly in his favour, as the Dwarf units do start to run away, and a fantastic thing again about taking this many Skaven units, even if you have some beat up clan rats over here, they can run and just chase off Dwarfs all day. Dwarfs are very slow, they can chase them off, get that great value even when they're really beat up themselves. Hopefully these Skaven slaves will rally for the Skaven player. Looks like we do some Thunderers running back and some cannon crew desperately trying to get back towards their cannons. So they have stopped though, they thought better of it as these clan rats who have been summoned can be shutting down this other cannon here who is up to 120 kills. That is pure madness right there. Another Warp Lightning coming down. Decent strike there hitting Dragonback Slayers and these Longbeards. And the Skaven hordes are slowly taking advantage here. 1 unit of clan rats here chasing off 3 units, getting fantastic value. Looks like those Skaven slaves did run over the side, and they will be able to now just chase off these Dwarf Warriors or come in and try and shut down these Thunderers. Super close game here though. More pebbles coming flying in. Probably just trying to target down those Slayers, which of course is a great choice. Super close battle. I don't know. I really don't know who has this. I haven't seen these replays yet. Of course, I was in the first game, so I was knocked out first round. And I unfortunately had to try and get some shut-eye, so I actually couldn't spectate these games. It is fantastic to see them again, but it looks like Queek could be taken down here. Dwarf Warriors are desperately trying to smack him to pieces, but he is making a dart for it. He's very fast. He should be able to escape it. He's down to 500 health. He most likely will rally him, especially running past some of his own troops. I don't know, the Dwarfs are now back in the lead again, so it's been a bit of a swinging match. I think the Skaven have been trying to claw their way into it. This Warthog Engineer is having to run for the hills. This Rune Lord's been very resilient here, dropping his runes and just holding the line. There has been absolute carnage. Look at all the dead bodies just dotted around. This is a full-on grudge match, almost as old as the Dowie green screens grudge match. I feel the Dwarfs have the most amount of grudge matches. It is ridiculous. They hate Skaven, they hate High Elves, they hate Orcs. It's just everyone. The Dwarfs will always get vengeance on you. Most of the Skaven army does seem to be breaking right now, but they will all be coming back, especially if Queek rallies. He needs him to rally right here and just take out these isolated Dwarf units. Pick them off, don't let him rally and bunch up. If he manages to bunch up around this Rune Lord, it could be disastrous for the Skaven, and it looks like these guys did manage to get back on top of their cannon. They're cheering, and hopefully they have enough crew members to fire still. If they do fire into its blob, they can do some great damage, and we have this other cannon who's managed to get back onto their target. Another great Warp Lightning. They've been really good casts actually by the Skaven player so far. This Warthog Engineer is up to 110 kills. He has managed to pick off some of his isolated Dwarf units, but some cannon fire coming in. Won't break these Skaven slaves. I don't know, this is still so close. Power balance slightly in favour of the Dowie, but it's not over yet. There's still a lot of rallying units. If he can snipe out that Rune Lord, that could be really key. And the rest of these guys, they're so beaten up, they should break. So I really feel it could come down to that. These Death Runners, who have done fantastic so far, keep coming back, causing chaos, and then retreating again. 162 kills have returned, and they will very quickly be able to shut down these cannons. And in come the clan rats for the final engagement. Up on top of these dwarf warriors, Rune Lord's going in with his flying karate kick there before teleporting back a little bit with some Dowie magic, I'm sure. I always find the dwarves rather confusing. They hate magic and yeah, very suspicious of it, yet they use runes, which, as far as I can tell, are basically magic. But feel free to correct me there. I'm sure they have their get out of jail free card on that one somewhere. His Death Runners, fantastically used again, charging into back on top of these cannons. So Skaven are running to the hills here, but it looks like Queek is coming back. He might be able to take the Rune Lord. I know he's super low health, he's a really good duelist. The Rune Lord's a bit of a wet and limp kind of noodle when it comes to it. Bit of a little wet lettuce, but still, you know, he's got a ton of armor, so he might be able to survive long enough. His Dowie just getting hit by pebbles now. So I like this play as well. There's no need to engage us right now. You have the range advantage. You shut down the cannons very successfully with these Death Runners, who really have been some of the MVPs. Just use up this Skaven Slave ammo, ping down as many of these Dowies as you can. Probably ignore the Dragonback Slayers, there's only 7 of them and you're not going to break them. But just hit these Dwarf Warriors, especially when they're turned around like this in the back. You're not going to do a mass amount of damage, but still, all those like a 1 and 2 HP damage these little pebbles do will add up over time. See some flying in there, yeah, they're taking down some Slayers. Pretty successfully there, actually. They've brought them down to 3 models. These guys are already wavering. Power balance, however, is still in the Dwarf's favour. Probably because how healthy the Rune Lord is compared to Queek. But it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a stalemate here, just while these bullets soak up. So we are going to fast forward a little bit. I'm assuming he's just going to waste all his ammo, which is fair play. It's in the rules. He is attacking. So anyone who doesn't know the rules, basically you always have to be an attacker. Both armies must be attacking. And also it basically just stops mass spam and kiting and all that kind of nasty stuff that you don't want to see anyway. So it does look like we have some miners and some longbeards rallying to their lord over here, trying to get into this main blob fight to get those buffs from the Rune Lord. And this is it. This is the final fight. Where is Queek? He's running in. Let's see. He has to go for the Rune Lord here. It looks like Dowie are really starting to buckle here. It really is this Rune Lord who needs to hold them together, but they're just so beaten up. Constant fire from the Skaven Slaves here. The Paras, though, they also almost break him. Super close battle here. Queek does not know whether to attack or not. Drops down. He hasn't popped that there, he might have. It looks like he might just go and try and help clear up the rest of the Dowie infantry, leave this Rune Lord to last, which I quite like here as well. It's also a viable tactic. He managed to break their leadership. I thought he was going to have to think of the Rune Lord to do this, but instead, what buffs does the Rune Lord have? He hasn't brought all of them, yeah, so it's probably a good shout actually. Picking apart these weaker units. Queek is getting in there, using his Dwarf Gouger, and he's just going to be picking apart these miners quite easily. No, he's going to leave that job to the lowly Skaven Slaves. Miners obviously aren't a good enough target for the mighty Queek headtaker. It looks like he's just going to go for a big surround of the Rune Lord with trophy heads popped. It looks like he might be able to pull his way out of this and pour it back. He's still apparently in favour. I think that is solely down to this leadership, not leadership, health kind of pool of both the Lords. As he's getting dragged down here, trophy heads is on him. He's not going to stand too much of a chance, and it looks like he's just about to break. Where's his leadership? -4. There you go. He does break. What's a comeback by the Skaven player? That was super close game. Fantastically well played there. Well done to Salted Katana. So let's go to the next one. I should quickly just check chat, see if we have any questions. Hey Tristan, what's up, man? Good to see you back, my dude. Yeah, they did get bullied by CA, man. I mean, it's needed. It was needed. You know, they were super powerful, but I love taking them myself. Oh, Orcaboss, what's up, dude? Anyone who doesn't know, Rockaboss has his own YouTube channel. It is super cool to watch. He also definitely has the best thumbnails in the YouTube scene, so definitely go check him out. Feel free, man, as well, if you're still here, just to drop a link down in the description or whatever. Or not in the description, in the comment section. I'll make sure to drop one in the description. Awesome player, really nice dude. Played against him a couple times, and he is very good. So let's go to round number 2. So game 2 with Salted Katana. So Salted Katana is in charge of the High Elves here, up against Hit by a Tree's Vampire Coast. This is a matchup I actually quite like taking as the High Elves, but we should see how it goes. It is on Lord Croak's Temple here, which is a really cool, fairly new map, which got released with the Lizman DLC, which is actually when I came into the game, so I've been playing since then. been slowly learning. This was my first tournament, so I'm slowly getting into that tournament scene and just kind of growing a fan base, which is really nice, actually. Really good fun. Community is fantastic. So anyone watching this who's thinking of getting into the game, hop in right now, man. It is the perfect time to join. So let's have a little look at this high elf army. So we do have a front line of the nice, cheap and cheerful spearmen. These guys will hold for an absolute decade up against, these rather cheap units over here. So quite like that pick, and the real punch is coming in these Sisters of Avalon. Now this is a unit I haven't experimented with too much yet, as I've only recently got them about a week ago. I got all the DLCs, but they fire lovely plasma rifles, the good old stormtroopers of the High Elves here, just with a lot of accuracy. We also have the Regiment Renowned version of the Ever Queen's Court Guards. These guys are actually very good in melee as well, so if you do summon zombies on top of them, they'll still be able to do a decent job at kind of forcing them off. In the back we do have a unit of Illyrian Reavers, and we do have Teclis. Let's see what spells he has brought. I'm assuming he's brought his sword and all that good stuff as well. Yeah, Sword of Teclis, which is rather nice. Scroll of Hoeth. That's actually a really cool pick against the Vampire Coast there. Reduces their power recharge rate. That's really good. Plus 30 ability recharge. That can be really useful in this matchup. Potion of Choroi, Regrowth, which I quite like. Enfeebling Foe and Nets. Overall, quite a cool pick there. And it looks like he really enjoys Salted Katana, hiding in the back with like these sneaky units. He did it last game with those Gutter Runners, and he's done it now with Illyrian Reavers. I really like that, using these little wooded trees. So overall, yeah, that's his army. Very nice, quite a small build. I like it in this matchup though, because you kind of get forced to funnel anyway, and these spearmen should be able to block off most of the path while these sisters get in there and do the damage. Also looks like I missed out a hero here. Ah, Handmaiden of the Everqueen. So very cool, anti-large. Let's see, I haven't actually used one of these yet, so it'd be interesting to see what she does. Quicksilver short, so plus 3 time. Oh, okay, so she has a little bit of buff and fires herself. Okay, quite nice. Like that pick. Should be pretty good at sniping out these lords and heroes. So, for the Vampire Coast today and Hit by a Tree's army, he's gone for a front line of zombie pirate deckhand mobs. Very cheap and cheerful. Will trade okay with the spearmen. They won't be able to break them quickly. But it's kind of a similar situation, right? They just want to hold that front line where these back guns do all the damage. He also has the zombie pirate deckhands with halberds or polearms. I really like these guys in general. I think they have a great kind of use of utility. They're pretty good at taking down cav as well, of course, if they're anti-large. And they're just a nice old kind of meat shield, right? They're just a decent unit overall. We have 2 units of the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. Kind of a standard pick, very good. Obviously, a huge amount of damage output and potential. In the back, we do have 2 cannons, carronades, which have been souped up to silver chevron, which I really like as well, doing that extra damage. And they're going to be 2 of the biggest heavy hitters in this build. We also have a mortar, which is traditionally very good against high elves, mainly because of their tight packly formations. So obviously the area effect damage works really well. You can also get a lot of good wind blasts and those type of effects. The tear-shaped spells up against the high elves work really well, at least from my experience. We do have Count Inoculus up on his big old, just husk of a horrid mount right here, which is going to be pretty good. He's very competitive. He's taken nerf after nerf, as far as I'm aware. Before I joined the game, I did still watch a lot, and he used to be super powerful. Now he is still very good, and he's brought Invocation of the Heck. Of course, he has the Hunger. It looks like that for the majority is going to be it, but he's very decent overall. His cannons should be wrecking a lot of this infantry. And we do have some Mongols who... These guys just look horrifying. What is worse than this? I have no idea how they don't cause terror. I don't think they do anything. They just cause fear. Look at that. Imagine if that was coming at you. I would be running straight for the hills or to hide behind my Dowie shield wall. I would not want to face that. Looks like there's actually 2 units of Illyrian Reavers in the back there that I missed earlier. So he does have 2 units of these Mongols, 1 on either flank. And in the center, he has the Depth Guard. These guys will be able to mulch through those spearmen. They are vampires, so they of course have the Hunger. And they're just very badass elite. But if they get focused down by their sisters, they will go down rather quickly. So let's get this battle underway. Who is your money on? Is it going to be the Radiant and, very well regimented High Elves over here, led by Teclis? Or is it going to be kind of the shambling mobs of the Vampire Coast? So early charge coming with the Illyrian Reavers. Let's see if he's any more successful than I was in my first game at doing this, trying to take people offline. It looks like they do a ton of shock damage there onto that carronade, of course, which is very squishy. Depth guards do immediately turn around, and so do these zombie pirate gunnery mobs. So very quick reflexes here to kind of try and stop this. But if they shatter this, this is fantastic value for the Illyrians. Even if these guys go down straight away, if they can take off these cannons, that is going to be super effective. Noculus is getting in there, trying to fend these guys off. They're nearly broken. They've managed to get the carronade, though, start to crumble. Is this going to go down? It's dropping health rather quickly. Same with this other one. He's managed to react super quickly, but the shock damage, he managed to take out their carronade. That is great value. Okay, the Alien Reavers are gone. They may even rally, though, if they get back. That was some absolutely fantastic play. And it looks like this other carronade isn't going to rally in time either. That could well go down. Great early catch there by Salted Katana. And he's moving his forces up. So he hasn't managed to spot these Mongols, of course, yet, which are stalked. So nice play getting those onto the flanks. And you can see the mortar is returning in kind, getting some like good old vengeance. Popping down on the Sisters of Avalon, doing a large amount of damage, which is pretty decent there. So the Handmaiden is moving up, and she's just going to be trying to ping down the mortar, which is a good target there. I don't know how much damage her shots do. It's better to hit the crew or actually the pieces. So it looks like the backline has stabilised, and it looks like these Alien Reavers did come back. They should be fended off here quite comfortably by these pirate gunnery mobs. Yeah, it looks like those guys are going to break. But a great early pick, and both those cannons did go down. So I think, of course, it's been forced in between these two pillars. But it looks like he did manage to spot the Mongols, at least this one with the Alien Reavers. So he's going to be lining up his spearmen to take the charge, and probably going for a counter charge. So if he does do that, that's very good micro and very good play overall. And the Sisters are now in range, and they're going to rain holy hell down on these depth guard and on top of these mortars. And the mortars just explode there. Fantastic play. He's completely taken away what Vampire Posting a fantastic at, which is that range firepower. Looks like the Mongols are going to be intercepted by the spearmen. They might have actually been trying to get around there. And then a counter charge immediately if the Alien Reavers for that shock damage. Fantastic micro all round so far. And that fire is just going to come in. These guys are taking a little bit of a battering back, but that focus fire, Noculus has taken a huge amount of damage now. He's having to pop down indications in the heck to counter it. And the spearmen are getting in there, and they're doing very decent up against these zombie pirate deckhand mobs. Whereas the other unit of Morals, so these guys have stuck into back. He needs to shut down these Sisters like right now. He needs to get these guys offline as quick as possible. Looks like the Handmaiden may come back and try and help, however. The spearmen will do fine holding this. The depth guard will do decent at cutting through these guys. But the right flank and left flank should be fine. And a net by Techless on these guys. What a clutch play. Sitting right in front of the Ever Queen's Court Guard, who are now just going to pistol whip these Mongols directly in the face. And they're getting torn a new one. The micro here really has been on point. So these Mongols on the left side are going to start crumbling soon and getting taken out. One unit of summoned zombie pirate deckhand mobs are going to be able to finally get into the back line. However, the Sisters probably could return and fight them. Like, they're faster, so they don't need to, but they'll be able to beat these guys down in combat. And the Mongols, it looks like, for the most part, being shut down. Front line, the Spearmen are holding fine. Of course, the depth guard, they're up to 45 kills. They're going to be able to force their way through. I mean, if they force their way through, they could finally get back onto these Sisters, but they're just going to spread apart and then get some of that nice crossfire. You can see the old plasma beams coming in, finishing off this unit as well. So now there's a free unit of Spearmen in reserve, which could probably just pop on top of these zombies right here. And the Alien Reavers have come crashing in. Looks like they're trying to break them down. Techless, he's just chilling. He's taking a bit of damage. He did get in there and do a little bit of dirty work by the looks of it. Up to one mighty kill on the zombie, I'm sure. He'll pop down the potion on himself as well. He's just going to be rolling around at the moment, casting those spells. Honestly, that net was that was a really good clutch play right there. And these zombies are trying to get into the back line and force themselves onto the Sisters, but they're not going to do too much damage. I think the Alien Reavers just hack them apart. I don't think they're going to last too long. It looks like the target has been switched to these depth guard right here, who are just going to be getting gunned down. These guys are super elite unit. The Handmaiden there coming through and just clubbing one of those guys in the face. They're a really elite unit, but they're such a small unit as well. If they get focus fired down like this, that can be a bit of a disaster. Now over on the left flank, it looks like Techless is trying to help these Spearmen force their way through, help swing the tide against these zombie pirate deckhand mobs with the polearms. We have one unit of Spearmen who has forced their way into the back as well. Noculus though, is still pretty healthy. You can never count out the coast as long as they have Noculus, up to 86 kills. And these guys are starting to get pretty beaten up now. Of course, the more they lose, their damage output just goes down and down and down. If he can cannon a few more of these guys down, he might be within a shout. But the power balance up here has started going in favour of the high elves. And they're now focusing him down. They pop down the scroll on him, pop down the net. He's taking a huge amount of damage. He's, given birth, however, to some zombie pirate deckhand mobs, which he does do when he gets a little bit low. But all the shots are coming tearing in now. I don't know if he's going to be able to escape this. They really need to keep him alive. He's the only real answer they have to these guys, as everything else is getting kind of pinned up in this Spearmen, which is their job. They're doing it well. And even the depth guard now is starting to crumble. So overall, just a bit of a grind on this left flank, a bit of a grind in the back. Looks like Teclis himself, however, is going after Noculus. There's a summon up there to stop him, but he's a rather fast on his pointy-eared Princeling, so he's going to be charging rounds. I mean, if he pops his sword, Noculus is crumbling. He's down to 490, 479, 468. Teclis comes charging in there. Getting a little tiny hit. I don't know if he actually made contact there. It looks like he may start getting mobbed down by zombies. I don't think he's got too much to worry about, to be honest. The shots are now coming in on this gunnery mob and taking them down. Depth Guard are crumbling. Sisters are very beaten up, but they still have just an absurd amount of firepower. They're slowly grinding these guys down. Looks like Teclis is just about going to be able to escape this zombie pirate deckhand mob. And Teclis, he's coming in. He's coming in for that Noculus. 127 health, comes in, big old smack on the kneecap there. Turns out that was the weak spot, and down he goes. And with that, the coast are just going to crumble. A great victory. Fantastic game, actually. Some of that micro was really on point there. So well played. That is a Pyrrhic victory and a 2-0. So I believe we're going to be going on now to the finals. Let's just have a quick little look at what chat's saying. Is it still 480? Oh, that is so annoying. What's up, Falcon? Hope you're doing all good, man. Right, I'm going to quickly leave this on here, and I'm going to have a little look at my stream settings. On my side, it's not 480. That is so bizarre. I'm going to go to YouTube very quickly and try and upgrade. So I'm going to go to normal latency, see if that works. Best for high quality viewer playback and high resolutions. Right. Oh, I can't switch it mid-game. That's so annoying. Right, from this stream onwards, from like the next stream, I'm going to try and pop it onto normal latency instead before it was on a low latency, which was just so I could interact with you guys a little bit better. But that is annoying. This will get uploaded afterwards, however, and it should upload in kind of full quality. But that is very frustrating, so I apologise for that, guys. That is really annoying. For some reason, I've been recording that the whole time, and it's normally stayed at high quality. But anyway, let's move on to the finals now. So we do have the Salted Katana up against Zachbsain. So who's your money on? Zachbsain, of course, the reigning champion at the moment of my own tournament, Death Before Dishonor. You guys can go back and check that out. He took the title off Ben the Barman, I believe, which in a super good series. That last tournament I did, which was number 2, had some fantastic games in. But it looks like Salted Katana is going to be bringing his very trusted Skaven up against Zachbsain's Empire. I feel like this is a fairly even matchup. They're going to be on the Golden Colossus here. So who's your money on? Any favourites that you want to win here? Personally, whoever brings Dowie first is who I want to see win. So I am completely neutral in this right now. However, I did lose to Zach. So, you know, if he wins, I basically class that as making myself better than all the other players. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. One little last look at chat here. You can maybe switch stream off real quick and change internet back on. I could give that a go, man. I could give that a go. So if you guys are cool to hang around, I'm happy to do that. So just let me know very quickly, and I will give that a go, if that's what people want. Also, guys, if you are enjoying, please do feel free to leave a like. It really helps out. And, of course, subscribe. We've got loads of tournaments coming up, special event coming up as well next month with another YouTuber, and just kind of constant Total War updates. Sweet, man. Right, I'm going to switch it off and switch it back on, and we'll have a little look-see.